What is the Williams-Jones Cup?
If you've been following basketball in Taiwan recently, you've probably heard the name Williams-Jones Cup quite a bit. But if you're watching from outside Taiwan, you might be wondering, what exactly is the Jones Cup? Is it a national team competition? Is it an official FIBA tournament? And why are national teams playing against college teams and professional clubs? Well, today you're going to answer all of those questions and explain why the Williams-Jones Cup is such an important part of basketball in Taiwan. The Jones Cup is an international basketball tournament held in Taiwan since 1977, and it was named after Renato Williams-Jones, one of the founding figures of FIBA and the organization's first Secretary General, International Basketball. Jones was very important to the start of international basketball. He helped establish FIBA in 1932 and served as its Secretary General for more than 4 decades. He was also heavily involved in starting Olympic sports, basically. So when you see the name Jones Cup, you're essentially seeing a tournament named in honor of this man, and he's one of the most important guys in the history of international basketball. But what makes the Jones Cup unusual? Basically, it's not your typical international basketball tournament. If you're familiar with competitions like the World Cup or the Asia Cup, you're used to seeing national teams playing against other national teams, but that's not necessarily the case in the Jones Cup. Historically, the tournament has included national teams, professional clubs, and university teams, and that creates some pretty unusual matchups. You might have Japan playing against Taiwan, for example, but then you could also have a professional club from the Philippines playing against a college team in America. And all those different teams, different types of basketball being played, they all compete in the same tournament for the same trophy. That's one of the main reasons why the Jones Cup is so interesting. Why does Taiwan host it, you might ask? The tournament is organized by the Chinese Taipei Basketball Association, historically. Taiwan has hosted the competition since its beginning, basically, in 1977. And for Taiwanese basketball, that's a pretty big deal, because instead of waiting for a FIBA competition to come around, Taiwan can bring international teams directly to Taiwan, teams from Japan, from Korea, from the Philippines, America, and before you see there's a lot of other countries.
Meaning local Taiwanese players get the opportunity to test themselves against different styles of basketball without having to leave home, which is a huge plus. And this is where the Jones Cup becomes really useful for Taiwan. Imagine you're a young Taiwanese player trying to establish himself internationally. You might spend most of the year playing against the same teams in Taiwan. Then suddenly, during the Jones Cup, you're playing against Japan, then Korea, then the Philippines, and maybe you're gonna go up against an American college team. And that's a completely different experience because you get to face different defensive systems, different offensive styles, pace, different levels of physicality, approaches to the game. And for coaches, it's also an opportunity to experiment. They can test different lineups, give younger players minutes, and see how their players respond to international competition. You might wonder, why are there 2 Taiwanese teams? And this is probably one of the first things that confuses international fans. As the host, Taiwan can actually have 2 teams participating. And you'll see there's Chinese Taipei Blue and Chinese Taipei White. This gives Taiwan the opportunity to bring a much larger group of 24 players into the competition. And the blue team usually is the more established group, senior group, and the white team is the younger group. It's perfect because you can have a team that's more focused on performance and winning and getting established players some playing time, and the other second team can be more based on the future and giving more playing time to your rising stars and trying to experiment, let them play through mistakes, give them time to build chemistry, to learn how to play together, to learn new sets, and that can be your team for the future. Not every team in competition is a national team. This is where things get a little complicated. The Jones Cup is not the same thing as a FIBA World Cup or Asia Cup, for example. It's an invitational tournament, so teams have much more flexibility in how they put their rosters together. That means you can have a national team like Korea or Taiwan or Jordan, for example, a professional club like the team from the Philippines this year, or a university team like UC Irvine, all competing in the same tournament. And that's why you shouldn't necessarily look at the Jones Cup roster and assume, okay, this is exactly the team I'm gonna see in the next FIBA tournament. It doesn't necessarily work that way. But why would teams want to play in the Jones Cup? And that really depends on the team. For Taiwan, for example, it's an opportunity to prepare for international competition and help your young players grow and learn their roles on the team. For Japan, Korea, or the Philippines, it can be an opportunity to test younger players, experiment with lineups, or prepare for upcoming competitions. For a professional club, you get to compete against international teams, and for a college team, it can be an incredible experience. Imagine being an American college basketball player, and suddenly you're playing against a senior national team from Japan or Korea. You're getting experience against players who may have professional careers in Europe, Asia, or even the NBA. That's something you simply can't replicate in a normal college season, that's for sure. And that's why the rosters can sometimes be really interesting, because the tournament isn't restricted to traditional national teams. You can get some very unusual combinations of players. You can have experienced professionals playing alongside younger players. You can have foreign imports joining a club specifically for the tournament, and you can have college players trying to compete against established professionals. For instance, you might have noticed playing for the strong group Filipinas going for their third title in a row, Boban Marjanovic, the former NBA center, the giant who's really hard to miss on the basketball court. Meanwhile, you have the Korean team this year who's playing out of their mind, and they're blowing teams out the door, scoring more than 100 points per game with great spacing, and 2 international imports playing for them in Hammonds from the US and Alvano, who's actually Filipino-American. Meanwhile, you have UC Irvine bringing in the American athleticism with a lot of fast break, a lot of alley-oops, fast pace, and you can tell they're young because they're running all day, every day, and they have a deep roster, so for them it's just a lot of fun. Now, is it really important to win the Jones Cup? I think the answer is yes, but you have to understand what kind of tournament it is. It's obviously not the Olympics, it's not the FIBA World Cup, and it's not the FIBA Asia Cup. But that doesn't mean it's just a meaningless series of exhibition games. Teams still want to win, players are still competing for minutes and opportunities, and coaches are still trying to figure out their teams. And for Taiwan in particular, it's an important opportunity to measure itself against international competition. And that's why I think the Jones Cup is especially interesting for international basketball fans. If you're interested in Asian basketball, the Jones Cup gives you a chance to see a bunch of different basketball cultures, all in one tournament. You can watch Taiwan, Korea, Japan, the Philippines, American college basketball, and other international teams. And because the competition isn't as rigidly structured as a traditional FIBA tournament, you can sometimes see matchups that you wouldn't normally get to see. It's almost like a snapshot of basketball across Asia and beyond. There's also one more reason the Jones Cup matters, and it's a window into Taiwanese basketball. If you're trying to understand the basketball scene in Taiwan, the Jones Cup is a great place to start, because you get to see how Taiwanese players compare internationally. You get to see which young players are emerging, you get to see how Taiwan responds to different styles of basketball, and you get to see players who may become important pieces for the national team or Taiwan's professional leagues. And if you're new to the Jones Cup, I think the best way to understand why it matters is to actually look at the games. Because Taiwan has already faced some really interesting competition in this year's tournament, my next video, I will be looking at how Taiwan has been doing so far in the competitions, what they do well, and what are they struggling with, and the biggest tactical reasons behind the results. So if you're interested in Taiwanese basketball, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.